not with me while I was there, but I'm talking of other boys. It had happened earlier than my period of the Ahmadi hostel. But it was reported to me by relatives and friends who were there in those times. So he came and stayed in Ahmadiyya hostel, and in those days he was obsessed with the question of matchmaking. So he would all day long and late into night, he would discuss this question of marriages, and he would make matchmaking. That boy should be married to that girl, and that boy should be married. So he wasted a lot of time in the hostel, our students and so on. So ultimately, the superintendent sahib got fed up of him. And once after morning prayer, he approached him very softly and kindly and said, "Look here, Raja Sahib, enough is enough. You are a very intelligent man, of course, and you should see that you are wasting a lot of time of students here. And also you should realize that it is against the rules of Ahmadiyya community to permit non-residents, non-students to reside in Ahmadiyya hostel. So you should better leave." So he turned to him with bloodshot eyes and said, "Look here, the superintendent sahib, is it an order or is it a request?" So that terrified the superintendent. So he said, "Of course it is a request." The response was, "Chalo tekiya na manzoor." Tekiya is a word of disrespect, He waved him off. He said, "If that is a request, I reject that request." So he couldn't do anything. That sort of Ahmadis have produced some madmen who are, by ordinary standards, who are quite intelligent people, Yes? Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah.
Hazur, Promised Messiah mentions in one of his books that Pontius Pilate was executed after the crucifixion of Jesus. Is this information documented anywhere?
Well, thank you so much for pointing it out. I think an investigation has to be made in this direction. It has not yet been made by any Ahmadiyya scholar to my knowledge. But I will appoint someone. Have you been able to do it yourself?
Well, I heard that there is a book that is newly out called The Mythmaker, which is about St. Paul. We haven't been able to obtain a copy yet. But the man
that mentions it.
Well, I don't know. The man in the bookshop said that he had read a book about Pontius Pilate, and he has it in his pile and he's looking out for it.
I think Nasir Ward is the right person to see into this, because he's very good at Roman history. And particularly the history around the era of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. So somebody, Saki Sahib, you better write to him or telephone him.
I have a second question.
To investigate this. Yes, please.
I've always tried to teach that the mosque is a special place, and that children should behave in a special way in it, and that if they're old enough to run about, they're old enough to remove their shoes and that sort of thing.
Right.
Now, in our Jamaat recently, it's been argued that if the Holy Prophet, peace be on him, allowed children to play around his head while he was doing prayers, etc., then it's good enough for us in today's
world.
That
has been, that tradition has been extended too far, and the whole situation has not been brought into notice. The fact is that it is nowhere said that while Hadhrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam was leading a congregation prayer or any prayer in the mosque, then this happened. Nowhere will you ever find this mentioned. So what is mentioned is this, that once while Hadhrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in sajda, in prostration, then Hazrat Imam Hassan went over him and he very gently and kindly removed him while he was getting up. So where that happened, in what situation, that has not been explained. So this is just people's imagination. And in the mosques, no such thing should be done which should distract other people's attention. And everyone who goes to the mosque for the sake of worship has that right. Now, if somebody's children in home interfere, that is a compulsion. I mean, you can't avoid that situation. Because in homes, when you say your prayers, homes are not initially meant for prayers. They are meant for residing there and dwelling there along with the family, and the children are a part of that setup. So you can't expel them from your homes and can't take always such actions, such necessary measures as to preclude the possibility of children's interference. But in the mosque you can do, and you should do.
In Spen Valley, our home is our mosque.
Well, if the home is your mosque and your children are interfering with your prayers, despite the age they have reached, then I can't do anything. I can't advise you anything about it.
Huzur, with regard to Pilate, I understand it is well documented that he was executed. Sometime after the crucifixion incidents, he was imprisoned and subsequently he was beheaded. Apparently this is written in a book about Pilate, and as Sarma said, we have asked the bookseller to get us that.
No, but how can you say it is well documented?
Well, he said he has a book about Pilate.
So you have not yet seen?
We haven't seen it, but...
So you can't say. The only belief we have in this is because we know if Hadhrat Masih Maud has written, it must be true. He must have found some authentic mention of this because he was a very widely read person. And in those days, whatever was available about Christianity, he would have his hand access to it and find out. And also people would keep sending books to him, his followers later on in life. So if he says it, it must be true. And we should find an authentic source, a reliable source as well, not just that you have read in some book, because many a book is now being published on Christianity and Judaism, which may contain material, and which do contain material, which is not at all reliable. And this book has to be, a book of the early century, of early 20th century. Because if Hadhrat Masih Maud has mentioned, of course he didn't read the book which is now being published. He must have read it in some authentic book of that time. So what I mean is, we should try to lay our hands to that book or such literature of that age.
But this is a book biography of Pilate.
Of course it would be a biography of Pilate, I agree. But the fact is, from where he has taken his facts. Now, those facts would be relating to certain, would have been taken from certain other books. So by investigation, I mean such a scholarly investigation to find out the sources and judge their authenticity and then come out with a solid proof in favor of what Hadhrat Masih Maud has said. And even otherwise, this is a very likely situation, because most often than not, the people who oppose the prophets, they are punished in this world as well. If they escape punishment occasionally, that is a very rare phenomenon. For some reason we don't know. But from the known history of mankind, such people have been punished. So although Pilate had some excuse to make, but still he was not absolved of that responsibility, despite his washing his own hands. He was forewarned. He knew himself that he was an innocent person. So no excuse can justify his decision, and no washing of hands can absolve him of this great sin. So in light of all this, I can